God damn it. Everything is motherfucking. God motherfucking damn you, cocksucking, prick motherfucking son of a bitch. More to friggin' go. God damn. There's funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live 5, and the Wolfie Network, Rumble X, YouTube. All that good stuff. Check us out, subscribe, type in IE's Newswire, Roy Bleckert, or whatever trips your trigger. Get on a lot of news coming on today, but the tragic news of the day was in Washington, D.C., where we had 2 National Guard members murdered point blank in cold blood, which we are now learning was an illegal alien. Some of these things are just, it's really almost, it's beyond the pale. We'll get to the CNN report here in a sec. But all the ones that have been agitating this and stirring the pot, beyond a tragedy. Here's CNN report.
Breaking news, ambush. New video just in of what officials are calling a targeted attack on 2 National Guardsmen deployed in Washington, D.C. You can see in this video here police administering CPR to one of those guardsmen as he lays on the ground. As the camera pans, you can see a second guardsman also surrounded by police. The shooting took place less than half a mile just north of the White House, as you see on the map there.
At approximately 2:15 this afternoon, members of the D.C. National Guard were on high visibility patrols in the area of 17th and I Street Northwest when a suspect came around the corner, raised his arm with a firearm, and discharged it at the National Guard members.
It's our understanding tonight that one of the guardsmen was hit in the head. Both are said to be in critical condition. Officials say the suspect is in custody, though not cooperating with authorities. Shortly after this brazen attack, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the president is ordering 500 more National Guard troops to the nation's capital. That on top of more than 2,000 already deployed there.
I wonder how much of this we're going to have to endure. They're cleaning up. They cleaned up Washington, D.C. Even the mayor said, this is one of the best times we've ever had. When Trump sent the National Guard in and started cleaning up, and she was opposed to it. But you've had, I'm going to try to lighten it up as much as I can. These clowns out here that have been agitating, just trying to get everybody stirred up. And, from union members to teachers to city councilmen, governors, Fat Boy Pritzker, Newsom, the whole crew, Rob Bonner. It's amazing. And even sometimes, maybe even de facto or accessory criminal of what's been going on out here. Some of the details that we are now rolling across. This is from Nick Sorter. Breaking. The suspect in the D.C. National Guard shooting has been identified as 29-year-old Afghan illegal Ram Manhulaha Lakanwal, or something close to that. He was brought here in 2001 by Joe Biden. Of course, Biden and Mayorkas have blood in their hands. While staging the attack, he allegedly said, Allah, Allah Akbar, however that goes. He shot 2 National Guardsmen in cold blood. There you see some of the video. You see them working on the 2, one getting loaded in the ambulance. Shot them at point blank range, right in the head. They basically had no chance. They were, the whole, they're in critical condition. And, the West Virginia government confirmed it, and then they didn't want the news out, so they started couching it, but now it's been officialized. But this kind of rhetoric, and I agree with Nick, they have blood on their hands. More update from Nick. Illegal alien from Afghanistan, this is what we know, overstayed his visa granted by Joe Biden under Operation Allies Welcome September 8, 2021. Born 2/9/96, 29 years old, last known address, Washington State. Washington State is about as far as you can get from Washington, D.C. That's about 3,000 miles from the left coast to the right coast. Nick says, execute him and make him public. And you're not going to get any argument from me if he is guilty. And maybe we need to start thinking more along the lines of we should have public executions for crimes like this. Because one way or another, this sort of nonsense is going to have to stop. you've got these rhetorics, and we've heard the Nazi and this and Hitler. We've had all the, we had the George Floyd riots over that. Then we get to the point of, holy cow, we had all these people illegally protesting or defending criminals. When you are defending someone in the country unlawfully or illegally, they are either breaking the law or committing a crime. So if you don't like the law, change the law, but do not once you start this sort of nonsense, it is not going to stop. Here's the first clip of the hate mongering that's been going on really heavy for the last 10 years. Well, 15, 20. Really, since the racist in chief Barack Hussein Obama came in. Here we go.
I mean, you think of other disproportionate uses of violence, like, the Tulsa Race Massacre, I know it's not completely analogous, or say, like, COINTELPRO and the FBI going after black and civil rights activists and things like that, but not really. I mean, the comparisons that I make are the Gestapo.
Comparisons I make are the Gestapo. This is what's gone completely frickin' haywire. You may not like Trump's policies, and we can debate them till the cows come home. But we're not going to have this noise of just running false rhetoric of this stuff, like this young lady who starts it off. If we don't stop it, if we don't stop the misinformation, the lies, the rhetoric, create a crisis where one doesn't exist and then walk in with the solution, we're going nowhere. Here's Elisa Slotkin, senator from Michigan.
Look at these videos coming out of places like Chicago. It makes me incredibly nervous that we're about to see people in law enforcement, people in uniform military get nervous, get stressed, shoot at American civilians. It is very...
So, oh yeah, they're out there. I've seen all these National Guardsmen, cops, your local deputy sheriff, police officer, highway patrol, whomever. They're just out there shooting. No, not like the little young lady and all the ones that shot at the J6 people. We didn't say nothing. Oh, that was perfectly okay, Slotkin.
A very, very stressful situation for these law enforcement and for the...
Yeah, because jackasses like you have been creating this. Out there protesting into George Floyd and saying that's okay, you can just burn other people's property down and take it. Just because you want it. No just compensation. Now, if you buy it from the person you want to burn it down, that's on your edge. But you don't take other people's property. Or you do not create chaos, or you do not create an unsafe environment. But you can wear $1,500 whatever clothes and have $500 haircuts because you're a U.S. Senator.
Communities on the ground. So it was basically a warning to say, like, if you're asked to do something, particularly against American citizens, look at these videos coming out of places like Chicago.
These absolute false flag They are the real communists out there. They are the ones that are preaching or trying to stir up exactly what happened today. They've waved the illegals in. Oh, you can't say a darn thing about them. You are the racist. You are the one that's the trouble. Back when Trump sent in the National Guard, this was the rhetoric on CNN.
Actually, what the president is doing through the Secretary of Defense is creating units, official military units, to quite frankly watch the American people. And that's the thing that is absolutely
No. He made the Freudian slip. They were in there to guard the American people from getting shot and killed, federal buildings from being destroyed, because assholes like you two were out there egging them on to do it and make our communities unsafe and put people's lives in danger. I don't care if you're Major General Randy whomever. Stick it right up your ass, because you're the one that's creating this kind of rhetoric, and you just got 2 National Guardsmen killed with this kind of crap. Major General Randy Maynor.
abhorrent. It reminds me so much of what happened in Germany in the 1930s. Actually,
there you go. The whole Nazi, Germany, Third Reich. That's from Major General Randy Maynor, folks. Governor Fatboy Pritzker is not to be left out.
Other than fighting crime. That's the first thing they should understand. The second is it's an attack on the American people by the President of the United States. Now, he may disagree with a state that didn't vote for him, but should he be sending troops in? No.
You said he has other aims. What are the other aims?
The other aims are that he'd like to stop the elections in 2026, or
should he send troops in to protect federal buildings and people that may be endangered of the people that you have been encouraging, Fat Boy, to go in there and destroy? Your Black Lives Matters and the whole crew, and supporting the illegals and supporting the people that have been the violence of protesters. And even if you're not, those who try to say they're peaceful or something, the elected officials, they've been agitating the hell out of this. The blood of this is on their hands too.
frankly, take control of those elections.
And Trump's going to take care of that. Trump's going to cancel the 26 elections. He's going to do them in Darrow or whatever the hell. Stalin, dictator. This whole ridiculous and insane stuff we have been doing for far too long. We have been letting them get away with it, stealing the elections, creating this rhetoric. For far too long. I want to update that story. That woman who threw that poor little dog over the fence at the veterinarians, they have finally arrested her. Thank goodness. As you see in the ABC7 report. here's what happened. Here was the original story. That
Animal
runs back
abuse caught
2
on
weeks ago.
surveillance video. A woman seen here carrying a small dog in a plastic bag and tossing it like trash over a fence at an Anaheim veterinary center.
Well, at least we can say the woman has been arrested. At least we're getting some progress in some of the chaos like we have to report today. It's just blatantly criminal at times. Another good, or let's say, action that came out, Georgia prosecutor drops the 2020 election interference case against Trump and others. One of those others was John Eastman, the law or former law professor from Chapman University, or dean of that, Claremont College, I think. He got disbarred over this stuff and everything. Maybe, hopefully, he'll get his law license back. You know, in the kangaroo bar of California, they did this. Well, at least, again, I don't want to leave everybody on a whole Debbie Downer. Like there's nothing that we can do or say in this.
We're starting in 40 seconds.
Chad Bianco has opened up a legal defense fund to pay his legal bills of that. Hopefully, Susan Shelley will call in. We'll get more into this whole deal with the very humongous tragedy today where the 2 National Guardsmen were shot by an illegal from Afghanistan in Washington, D.C. Man.
All right, we're going to start in 5 seconds, and Susan is on the line.
Okay.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the 4-inch AM band. Join our vast video audience in the ULFB Network, Rumble, X, YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, do all that, type in IE Newswire, Roy Bleckert, any of that stuff. You should see my smiling face come up all over the place on that. A couple local things. They did arrest that woman who threw the poor dog over the fence at the veterinaries down in Anaheim. Chad Bianco put up a legal defense fund to shelter some of the expenses he has had on some of the ongoing legal cases around here in Riverside County against him. And Georgia prosecutor dropped the 2020 election interference case against Trump and others, some of them being John Eastman, who's been out here and been on the show before on that. But as we usually do back on a Wednesday, we have the famed editorial writer, columnist for the Press Enterprise, San Bernardino Sun, Inland Daily Bulletin, Redlands Daily Facts. More important to me, Vice President of Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, Susan Shelley. Welcome to iNewsWire, Leroy.
Thank you, Roy. Great to be with you. Happy Thanksgiving.
You got it, man. We started off today not good. I mean, my contention is, and, you know, a lot of people have pointed out, 2 National Guardsmen who were making Washington, D.C. inhabitable, visitable again, were shot to death in cold blood at point-blank range by Afghan illegal. And it's being pointed out by a lot, and clips are run. I ran a few from J.B. Pritzker to the news guys to Major General Randy, whatever his name is, who've been pumping this rhetoric that Trump's a Nazi, we're a MAGA's Nazis, they're out there going, you know, what if the National Guard are shooting people, and they're doing that because Trump wants them to stop the 26 elections and all the whole thing. I'm saying they didn't pull the trigger, but I'm saying they should be accessories in the murder of those two National Guardsmen. What say you, Susan?
Well, it sure seems that way. It seems like there's an intentional effort to dehumanize people based on the job that they're doing, whether that's the ICE or Border Patrol agents or whether it's the National Guard. These are people who are doing jobs and people companies. That's something that all Americans should salute. What is going on where there are people in the media and people in government, including our own government in California, making continuous statements indicating that all these people are some sort of fascist troop deployment by the president. This is very dangerous. Now, I don't know what the specific circumstances were of the motive of this particular individual, but this was an assassination of two people, where someone came around the corner and fired a gun at two people. No conflict, no argument. It wasn't some kind of a two-way fight. This was an assassination, just like the Charlie Kirk assassination. This is very scary stuff. You know, we had a period of assassinations like this in the 1960s, so a lot of social unrest, a lot of dehumanizing people and othering people. This can't go on. And the people who are in the media who are platforming this kind of rhetoric should stop, because they're getting people killed.
That's where we need to be taking the conversation. Trump needs to have he needs to do, I don't know, maybe a fireside chat or something, and lay this stuff out. You know, we cannot, unless you want this chaos to continue, unless you want your neighborhoods unsafe, this stuff is going to have to stop. We can debate the policies and everything else, and I think Trump would be more than happy to debate people or discuss it or till the cows come home. But we need to, we just got, and if we don't, this is probably just the first in many. If the overall atmosphere we've created so far up to this day before Thanksgiving 2025, if we don't turn this around, it's not going to get any better. I can guarantee you that, Susan.
Well, it's very intentional from the people on the left to dehumanize Donald Trump, to dehumanize everyone who's working for him. This is not new. This has been going on since 2015. He's a Russian agent, and all these people who are covering for him should be indicted. You know, today there was a dismissal of the charges in Georgia. I think you mentioned this earlier. And what was said by the prosecutor who dismissed it was that challenging an election is not a crime. And so why was it portrayed in the Biden administration as sedition and insurrection and all the rest of it? Challenging an election, whether with a slate of electors or with protests and protest votes on the floor of Congress, or even demonstrating in front of the Capitol, constitutionally protected free speech and the right to petition the government for redress of grievances. And what in the world are we doing in this country calling that fascist? It's very frightening. It really is. People who speak in public, I'm one of them, you're one of them, it's very frightening to see this kind of rhetoric result in lunatics going out with guns and killing people.
And like I said, it's not going to get any better if we don't stop it. We're going to have to do two things, at least in my opinion. We're going to have to clamp down on this, or we're going to have to go back to the Wild Wild West days, and we're going to have to fend for themselves. We're going to have to eliminate the whole, and get back to, as I believe, the Constitution. You have the right to carry arms, to defend yourself, because if they're going to allow this stuff to go on, then we should have every right to carry whatever force it's going to take to protect ourselves and our families and our towns from this kind of stuff from happening, because this is where it's going. If you're going to walk up to two law enforcement officers, point blank range, and blow their frickin' heads off, then that's if that isn't enough to get people's attention, I shudder to think what it's going to take to get their attention, Susan.
Oh, yes, you're right. But what's for individuals who want to work against that, to just carry a weapon all the time? I'm sure that if Charlie Kirk had had a weapon, it would have saved his life. This is very scary stuff. And it has to be, there's nothing you can do to stop an individual lunatic or an individual assassin, even if he's not a lunatic. But there certainly is something you can do about people like Senator Mark Kelly, who's calling for violence or calling for the conditions that create violence. It's very frightening. Something can certainly be done about people like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why. They should have, Hexas should be putting the court-martial on Mark Kelly right now. Let's get it out there on the deal, because you got, like you said, we ran the clip of this Major General Randy or something that said, oh, Trump's, by paraphrasing, a Nazi and running the whole thing. And they march these guys and gals out front one at a time. You've had Mark Kelly leading the other 5 senators, pulling this crowd. If there's you bring up that point. If there's I don't think there's 3 recruits or people in the military right now that don't understand they are not supposed to obey a illegal order. But to go around and just saying, well, yeah, to do that, no, we're just saying that. No, everybody's well aware of that. If you have a specific complaint or you think Trump has making an illegal order out there, Mark Kelly on down to Schlotkin or whoever, I want to hear it. If you're just trying to drum up BS, you're trying to stir the ish, then this is good. Like I say, this is just going to be the first salvo today in what's ever going to be an escalating war, in my opinion, Susan.
Pretty frightening stuff. Pretty frightening stuff, I have to say, because we don't want to be in a war on the streets of America with each other. This is not helpful. And it's coming from the left, trying to destabilize the country in order to prevent Donald Trump from doing what he campaigned on, which is basically draining the swamp and putting a stop to all the funding for all this garbage on the left that has been paying for everything from the George Floyd riots forward, the climate riots, all the rest of it. So much of this is funded by these non-governmental organizations, and I think they were getting their money from USAID, in other words, from the U.S. taxpayer, through these grants, and then essentially protesting against the people who were paying them. And this is something that the current White House is going to stop, and a lot of people don't want it to stop. And who knows what else is going to be uncovered that Donald Trump is trying to stop and clean up and drain, and at all costs. So look at this indictment in Sacramento, where the federal government comes in and they nail powerful lobbyists, powerful political operatives. They don't want to see that in the Democratic Party. They don't want to see that kind of stuff exposed. But it will be, because this administration is taking no prisoners on this corruption stuff. They don't have to extend professional courtesy to elected officials after what was done to Donald Trump. If they're guilty, they're going, and they should go. And we should clean up politics from coast to coast and get rid of all of this funding of all of this garbage.
Just to pick up on that, as far as California goes, when the FBI, according to Dana the Hammer Williamson, or through her attorneys, is when they approached her before they indicted her, they were saying that they seemed to imply that Newsom was a target of this investigation. Same thing with the Rob Bonta deal. I mean, that's all with the Oakland, the Shang Taos, and the Dongs, and all that corruption that's been going on up there. And Shang Tao, even when she's being recalled, she said the FBI came to us first, or came to me and said I wasn't a target of the investigation. Well, now we have this whole thing breaking out with the Hammer, and all that, and then Bonta spending half with the wild story. And I've never heard of this. If you're a witness in a case or you're providing information, it's going to cost you $500,000 in attorney's fees for that. That just makes absolutely. And even if you had to turn over the documents, and he says you had to redact them, you're not releasing them publicly. You're turning them over to a law enforcement agency that's not going to do that. Why would you have to hire $3,000 an hour lawyer attorneys to redact documents? What he's talking about is beyond lottery odds of happening, Susan. It just and there. If this is the case, then explain it, because I'd like to know the real reason why you had to spend $500,000 on this. And
Come on,
what do you think?
I just wrote a column about this for Sunday's paper, and there's nothing to see here, Roy. There's nothing to see here. Everything's fine. This is not racketeering. This is not corruption. It's fine. It's all legal in California politics. But of course, you're right. There's no innocent explanation for needing to spend $500,000 on lawyers. And I found something in the behested payment reports from May of 2024, 1 month before Sheng Tao's home was raided and the Dong's properties were raided by the FBI. 1 month before that, our Attorney General made a behested payment request to a foundation in Houston that does progressive politics and asked for $500,000 to go to a San Francisco law firm for assistance in investigations. Now, what's that? I don't know, but maybe that's another $500,000 for lawyers related to the Sheng Tao investigation. We'll find out eventually. I couldn't find out in time to file the column, but we'll find out eventually.
Well, yeah, but in your column this week about it just isn't, like you say, it goes from the District of Criminals in Washington to the scoundrels in Sacramento to L.A. They're doing the same thing. You're calling the L.A.'s governing disaster, illegal payouts, nepotism, and incompetence. I mean, we just get it seems like a daily barrage of this stuff, Susan.
Well, it's true. They're so incompetent. We've got this fraudulent homelessness spending. And we've got all of these deals that the county's involved in, that now the county is creating another state of emergency so they can cause landlords more difficulty. It's one thing after another, and it's just totally incompetent. The city of Los Angeles is in federal court, under it's settled a lawsuit over its homelessness spending wastefulness, and it's not meeting the requirements of the settlement, which had all these targets and deadlines and benchmarks. They're not meeting them. So they're in court trying to avoid contempt of court charges. Well, the city attorney apparently threw up her hands, and they've hired outside counsel to go to court and lie to this judge. I don't know that they're lying to the judge. I just think they're lying to the judge. and essentially what's happening is that the taxpayers of the city of Los Angeles are on the hook more than $5 million for this private law firm. Everybody's billing about $1,300 an hour, regardless of their position with the firm. They're all billing about $1,300 an hour, and it's just racking up charges. And even the judge said, is this incentivizing delays, this payment structure? Now, what does that say? The judge, who's a lawyer himself, of course, would think that they were just milking the taxpayers. This is so egregious. And they're just they're probably going to get saddled with paying the legal fees of the other side. Taxpayers will have to cover that too. And what happens for the homeless out of all of this? Nothing. The lawyers get yachts, the homeless get nothing.
Your other column has to do with what's coming up on these 26 elections that J.B. Pritzker says Trump's going to stop anyway, so I don't know why you wrote a column on this. But anyway, Starr's money can't buy the governorship. I kind of agree with you, but I think it's going to be a good thing that he's jumping in the race and many others. But what say you, Susan?
Well, the more the merrier on the Democratic side, because if we can get 2 Republicans in the top 2, we'll have a Republican governor in California. We'll be much better off. But essentially what I wrote about is how the worst thing you can be in the world is a billionaire in politics. Everybody wants your money. And so they're never going to tell you the truth. Whether they're candidates or they're activists or they're consultants, They want one of those great big 6-figure, 7-figure donations, and he put $250 million into Democratic causes. More than anybody else, he said himself. And needless to say, eventually somebody whispered in his ear, you should be the candidate. So he ran for president in 2020, and he was at 1% nationally, 1.9%, I think, so 2% nationally, and a little under 4% in Iowa, where he was spending the money. And then he was out of the race by Super Tuesday. He spent $200 million on that presidential campaign. And now he's going to spend his own money running for governor. But he's at 1% in the polls. So how does the voting starts May 4th, and this is November. How much money is he going to have to spend between now and May 4th to get into double digits? I don't think there is enough money to do that. But if there is, then an awful lot of consultants are going to be driving Ferraris.
Oh yeah, no, I think and again, I put the strategy out, and I think I did it last week or so. Sent it to Chad. I haven't sent it to Steve Hilton yet. But the rat showed us how to do this in 2022 in Senate District 4, a 20-plus Republican district. They ran 2 candidates. There was 5 or 6 Republicans. The Democrats got the top 2. They got Gil Alvarado or whatever her name is. She's a Democrat right up there in Northern California in the Senate representing a Republican district because the Democrats know how to win. Republicans do not. And I keep telling it, and this is a perfect example. Everybody bitches about the top 2 thing, yada, yada, yada. You want that to end real fast? You bring this down to between Chad Bianco. If the choice in November 26 is Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton, they'll repeal that Proposition 14 quicker than anything you've ever seen in modern history politically. So again, we don't have to. We don't even have to think it. We don't even have to look. We just go and copy what they did. And that's why I say with Steyer getting in this, I hope Rob Bonner jumps back in. The more Democrats you can do, I mean, if you could split the vote, 2020, the center-right vote, 2020 between Chad and Steve, and then you hold all the Democrats under 20%, the choice is going to be Steve and Chad or whomever, however it shapes out. We still got time. But I'm just saying the way the deck chairs that, and what makes this possible too is as you're pointing out, the Democrats have nobody with any gravitas, star power, or anything they're running right now. And that's what makes this even more possible. And with Katie Porter melting down every 10 seconds, who was the last of the ones that even had any sort of recognizability, mainly. This is, I was happy Swalwell rolled in there. More of them get in there, the better, because this is our Hail Mary pass, and if this is the way we can win, because I don't care if it's Chad or Steve against any other Democrat, they're going to lose in November. If that's the way it is. But if the only choices you got is 2 center-right candidates, like I said, that 75% supermajority up there in the legislature will melt down, Susan.
Well, I agree with you. I think that would be very exciting. It would be very exciting to have 2 Republicans in the general election. Oh, that
would be. I couldn't. You couldn't ask for any more better political theater because, like I say, they would be absolutely besides themselves. On that, that would be the biggest, maybe one of the biggest things, because and you know what, they would have done it to themselves, and we can say, you know what, thanks for showing us how to do this back in 2022. We got about a minute left. Tell them why they should join HJTA Go.
The Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association is a member-supported organization fighting for you in the legislature, in the courts, and on the ballot. And you can be a member at hjta.org for just $15 a year. And while you're there, click the button for the initiative and help us collect 1 million signatures by February to save Proposition 13 and do something about all these court decisions that are making it easier to raise your taxes. Want to know why the sales tax keeps going up? The parcel taxes keep getting added on? It's because of these court decisions making it easier to raise taxes, and we're going to close these loopholes. We're going to save Prop 13. Go to saveprop13.com, download the petition. You can print it on one piece of paper, ordinary letter-sized paper, fill it out, sign it, send it back, 1 million signatures by February, and we will have this on the ballot in November. hjta.org and saveprop13.com.
Thanks for being on, Susan. We'll do it again next week.
Thank you, Roy.
Susan Shelley, Vice President of Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association and columnist extraordinaire for the Southern California News Group, which I think's got 10, 11, 12 newspapers all around Southern California. So check out her usually 2 columns a week, and that which are very, very interesting and informative. One of the best writers, political writers, at least I've in my book, not only in SoCal, California, but the entire world. Man, it's something. We've got to deal with this beyond stupid that's been going on. And I'm serious as a heart attack. If we're going to let this stuff go, or if this is the way people want to roll it, and it's been talked about a national repeal of the, where you can't have open carry or whatever. I say concealed carry or anything. If people want to go back, and I'll deal with it any way you want. But I'm not opposed to going back to the Wild West days. People had a lot more respect for each other back then. If you mouthed off or you pinch the rear end of somebody's wife or something, you might get a bullet in the head. People had a lot more respect because the consequences for ishy behavior, talk about judge, jury, and executioner all in 1 second, there it is. Now we can argue and debate, that, but if we're gonna allow generals and politicians and people to just illegally riot in the streets and cause chaos and take other people's property and everything, or we're not going to do anything about it when they do, then there should be no consequences on us for defending our life, our property, our family, and our communities. But it all comes back to that. We got to have they're talking about the flights and the deals, and Sean Duffy, the transportation secretary, is talking about, hey, if people address better that, when the airplanes, maybe we wouldn't have so much chaos, which is true. If you're not looking like a slob or a hooker or a drug addict, you're probably not going to act like an a-hole as much if you're dressed in a suit and tie or you're in a dress or whatever. I'm not saying that you have to go like you're going to a ballroom, but that's all part of the deal. And that's what it used to be. I've run the deal of LA in the 50s. People going shopping or something downtown LA, and they're all the men are in suits, the women are in dresses. Just on a normal day. Now, I'm not saying because I'm the biggest non-suit and tie wearer you'll ever see, or Mr. Casual attire personified, but there's a lot to say about what we allow and what we don't allow as a culture. And I think we went, again, that pendulum politically, culture-wise, has swung way too far to one side. We better start peeling it back, because if it keeps going the way it is, a lot of us, most of us, ain't going to like what's going to happen. but we shall see in the days before. Rest in peace, the two National Guardsmen that lost their life today. Take it away, Jesse. That'll do it for today. But as we usually say at this time, it's mandatory you're back here in when? 23 hours wide. You hear the best darn show in the whole wide world. Till then, see ya.
All right. Have a great night.
So look at it. Go back and look at it. When I'm doing the split screen,
Yeah.
it seems, I don't know if you noticed it, but it looked like my voice and audio was in sync.
I did not notice.
Go back and look at it, but I mean, check it out. That might give us some clues of what's going on.
Okay, sounds good.
But even on, and I did both cameras. You know, the one that was cooked to the computer and the other ones.
Yeah.
And even the one that's cooked to PC2 that's giving us the most trouble. When I'm doing the split screen, it looks to me like it's almost in sync. I'm not telling why. I'm just saying go look at it because it looked to me as I was watching it that it was much better when I did that split screen with Susan.
Okay. I'll double check.
You got it.
All right, bye.
Would you just give it a fucking deal? What in the fuck?
Dear America, dear Americans, what's going on? Once again, the moment you think that your heart begins to heal, it gets ripped out again. In this past year, we all have witnessed 2 assassination attempts against the president while he was campaigning, the public execution of Charlie Kirk in front of thousands of students and millions that were watching. And today, a lone gunman walks up and shoots 2 of our National Guard members on American soil in D.C. doing what they swore to do. They took an oath. And it just seems lately we all want to like go back and forth like a ping pong match on who's right, who's wrong. Let me try to hurt you more so I can prove my point. Even the conservative movement. So shameful. I've rolled deep with a lot of you. And I'm not saying that all my perspectives are correct, but I don't push my ideology or what I believe in on others. And if they don't agree, sit there and joke and mock them and put them down and call them names and put them in groups of those that we go against because you don't agree with their stance any longer. Truth is, it's embarrassing. I haven't gotten on here for a long time. I might post certain things or news articles, but this one today, maybe it's because my love and appreciation for the military, for members of the military that are currently serving or have served, family members that are serving right now, protecting our borders. And some of you are no better than those that we have pushed back against because of rhetoric. You have turned into them. Now, who's the idiot? You want to sit there and say, oh, this chick has went crazy because she's asking questions. Yeah, Candace. Or you want to say this other gentleman like Nick Fuentes, he loves Stalin, so let's continuously put him down. Hey, Christian brothers, directly at you, man. Just stop. There might have been individuals I disagreed with, but when I posted something, it was facts about what was going on. I've never wished harm upon a person. And some of y'all, that's what you're doing. Agree to disagree. You know, I battle this spirit inside me. Like, why should I keep on doing what I'm doing to bring awareness to others? When those that I think I align with and pushing godly values and a godly perspective want to do nothing but mock me. I've never been shadow banned. I've never been deplatformed. I've never had my account suspended. Why? Because I've never spoken lies. I've questioned things, but I've come with facts. This might be too long and you'll just swipe right through this. It's crazy. We celebrate Thanksgiving tomorrow. to be thankful for all the things that God has blessed us with, to be thankful for those that love us, to be thankful that we can be husbands and wives, to be thankful that we have children in our lives. But what's it all worth if those that you think are riding with you are the same ones that will destroy you? I don't know. Well, I'll get through this. But my number one job is take care of my family, to serve God. Man.
This is unprecedented. This is next level bonker town where they're saying you didn't do anything, but it doesn't matter. You criticize Israel, so we're going to shut you down. Israel, we're going to destroy you. I mean, this is bonker town. I bet
about her. Then you go, well, what evidence? So where are the posts? Was it a conversation? Was it a speech? No. It was an image that I posted without any words. They extracted all of these statements. He said this. It's not even just that he implied. It's like he said that she is an agent. He said that she is working for Mossad. He said that she's manipulating and controlling her boyfriend. And there's more. They extracted like a dozen or more statements from that picture that were never stated. I am being sued for something I never said. Now you can get sued.
You're being sued for what they said you said.
Correct. This is nuts.
This is unprecedented. This is next.
You want to get rid of stress? Lower cortisol, lower adrenaline, get your body feel nice and serene. Get around some beautiful cats or kittens. Look at these. Wow. The purr just slows you down. This kicks in your nervous system. Use this anytime you want therapy, anxiety. These beautiful cats, look how beautiful they are. They just, you just want to take a bite out of them, right? Now you may not, it's the cortisol that kills you. It's not the sugar, it's nothing else, it's the stress. Just start loving, giving back.
I was getting over 10,000 live viewers a night. I was making pretty good money. I was making about $50,000 a month as a completely canceled person. I had a live audience, subscriptions, a good income. I had a big following on Twitter. The week after January 6th, I got banned from DLive. I got banned from my bank that I was at, Bank of America. My checking account was shut down. My money was frozen. All my cash was frozen by the DOJ. I was put on a federal no-fly list. I was banned by my payment processors. I was banned by DLive. So I went from having a career in spite of being canceled, fighting so hard to emerge from that kind of culture, only to, because of J6, 2 weeks later, not even having a website to stream from, having no income, being broke, having no cash. And then, because I was effectively then a loser, because I was so thoroughly deplatformed, many of my friends began to turn on me. And all the other people that were there on January 6th, they feared that maybe they would be a subject of an investigation, maybe they would be
and you can see him walking out on his phone behind a tent. Charlie is getting loaded into the van, and Mikey is seen over here, back turned on the phone. This is weird, right? But even weirder is this. Zooming in closer, Mikey's reaction right when Charlie was shot. Look, he pulls his phone out to his ear without even pressing any buttons. Watch closely. Arms folded, phone right to his ear.
Mikey McCoy's wife just leaked messages that have people losing their minds online because they
This exercise will teach you that your thighs are brakes. This exercise will teach you that your thighs are brakes. This exercise will teach you that your thighs are brakes. This exercise will teach you that your thighs are brakes.
Apple cider vinegar, don't use it until you know these 5 things. 1. Use apple cider vinegar to lower blood sugar like this. Take 1 tablespoon 10 to 15 minutes before meals to calm blood sugar spikes and improve insulin sensitivity. 2. Use apple cider vinegar to improve digestion and reduce bloating like this. Take 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in 2 ounces of water during the middle of your meal to improve the production of digestive enzymes and stimulate bile flow. 3. Use apple cider vinegar to burn fat and support healthy weight loss like this. Take 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in 8 ounces of water as soon as you wake in the morning and 30 minutes before each meal to help reduce belly fat and promote fullness. And 4, very importantly, always drink apple cider vinegar with a straw to protect your teeth. And 5, don't use apple cider vinegar if you have stomach, duodenal, or esophageal ulcers. Apple cider vinegar, don't use it until you know these 5 things. 1. Use apple cider vinegar to lower blood sugar like this. Take 1 tablespoon 10 to 15 minutes before meals to calm blood sugar spikes and improve insulin sensitivity. 2. Use apple cider vinegar to improve digestion and reduce bloating like this. Take 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in 2 ounces of water during the middle of your meal to improve the production of digestive enzymes and stimulate bile flow. 3. Use apple cider vinegar to burn fat and support healthy weight loss like this. Take 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in 8 ounces of water as soon as you wake in the morning and 30 minutes before each meal to help reduce belly fat and promote fullness. And 4, very importantly, always drink apple cider vinegar with a straw to protect your teeth. And 5, don't use apple cider vinegar if you have stomach, duodenal, or esophageal ulcers. Apple cider vinegar, don't use it until
we want to have a country
This Trump thing with nurses, it's not an insult. What it did was expose how broken college pricing really is. Let me be clear. I'm not commenting on this as a politician. I'm speaking as someone who spent years inside the economics of higher education. I created College Money Academy. It's part of my overall financial caffeine brand. Point was actually in 1992 when the FAFSA system and federal funding became the backbone of college financing. Once the government guaranteed unlimited money, universities stopped competing on price. They started competing on amenities, on expansion, and on prestige, and pricing didn't come down. They skyrocketed. Families weren't given access. They were handed debt and told to be grateful, and that's not access. That's a financial trap. Now, recently, there's been a lot of emotion around changes tied to certain advanced degree funding. But here's what most people don't understand. When the government stops pumping unlimited money into a system, that system gets forced to face reality. If universities want to keep certain programs, they can't just pass the bill to the families anymore. They have to price them at what people can actually afford. That's how pressure works. That's how markets work. That's how costs finally come down. In College Money Academy, I teach one foundational truth. Colleges are businesses, education is their product, and their pricing is shaped by who's funding them. Change the funding model, and you change the pricing model. And that's what's missing with this whole conversation about Trump and nurses. Now let me bring this home because this one hits close to my heart. My wife is a nurse. She's worked night shift for 25 years. I've watched her miss holidays. I've watched her go into work exhausted, certainly coming home exhausted. I've watched her give everything to care for other people. And I've seen 3 of her close friends go back to school later in life for advanced nursing degrees and take on massive student loan debt in their 40s and 50s. Not because they were reckless, not because they made bad decisions, but because they were told this is the only way. That's not a system helping nurses. That's a system exploiting them. So when funding changes put pressure back on universities instead of working families, that's not an attack on nurses. That's correction. Because no profession should need $100,000 in debt just to serve people better. My wife and I have lived this. We've seen what it does to families, to marriages, to mental health. And the only thing that fixes it is changing the economics. Not more loans, not more debt, certainly not more government money, but real pressure on the institutions that keep raising prices because they know someone else will pay. Nurses deserve better, teachers deserve better, families deserve better. And until we treat higher education like an economic system instead of an emotional one, the people who sacrifice the most will keep paying the highest price.
So, we'll look at it. We'll look at it. We'll look at it and see how much of a delay it looks like we got on this.